And we're back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rollsicle. I, of course, am one of the hosts here at the channel. My name is Nathaniel. I'm joined by my lovely co-host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley.
Yay! All right, we're back with another topic. This one we're passionate about. Hopefully, it won't be like an hour-long video, but we are passionate about. So if you guys haven't seen the channel, we're trying to get these different style of videos on here and kind of find our groove, find what we're going to land on especially when we're taking some of the gameplay off the channel and streaming that. But one of the things we're landing on is videos that we're passionate about and topics that we want to talk about that we're passionate about. And one of those things that I'm very passionate about as a gamer who's just out of college, who hasn't really figured out the budget of life yet, is that I can't afford $80 games. And considering that our budget is together, she can't either. So we wanted to sit down, talk about just like our opinions on the push for $80 games, started by Nintendo, but has now been kind of pushed a little further than that. Our thoughts on kind of what the industry is talking about it, and where we hope it'll go, where we think it'll go, and what we think we can do about it. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, anyways, first of all, if you guys didn't get the gist, the very first ever $80 push for games, at least in modern times, was when Mario Kart World got revealed with the Nintendo Switch as a $79.99 MSRP game. Now, this was revealed at the time with knowledge that there will also be a $500 bundle of the Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World. Mm-hmm. This is basically, because the Nintendo Switch 2 on its own retails for $450, a $50 version of the game. So, as many people were saying, we're going to fight back against $80 price tags, we're going to fight back against $80 games, there is something to be said as the first mainstream $80 game isn't actually $80, right?
100%.
It has $80 for buying it on its own, and I do think that's ridiculous, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the very first push, Nintendo kind of put like a pinky toe in the door, because technically there are ways to get this game cheaper than that, even at launch.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, the very first thing I will say with that, and we can make all sorts of other videos about Nintendo and whatnot, and price and stupid things like that, but we're focusing on $80 games here, because that's the point of this video.
And we're not just focusing on Nintendo, we're just going to focus on where we think the gaming industry is going.
Is that this was very greedy, but it was also very safe. Because a lot of people interested in Mario Kart were going to buy it with their Switch.
Yep.
So now they're just going to bundle it with their Switch. But they also, I think, the corporate heads and everything like Nintendo are thinking very smart and extra greedy in the idea that in order to get this game physically, which their biggest fans and biggest collectors are going to be interested in, mind you, there's nobody that you know that prioritizes physical collections that isn't pretty into gaming, right?
Yep.
The collectors tend to care. And the collectors are also a little willing to drop some money on the things they care about collecting. There's a reason I have like a $200 Venom statue out there from Spider-Man 2. And I don't think that game was great, but I wanted that collector edition, right? Because I care about the game, so I'm willing to drop some extra money on it. Well, if you want the physical version of Mario Kart,
you have to buy the $80 version.
You have to buy the $80 version. So essentially, they kind of played the safe option here of most people can bundle this with their Switch if they want, and those collectors that are gonna be willing to drop $80 on the physical version of the game are gonna drop $80 on the physical version of the game.
Of course they are.
Which, in a sense, sort of made and sort of makes the $80 version of the game kind of a collector item. Which I don't like, but I do think because of the $50 option, we have to consider that when we talk about $80 games as a potential future. So going off of that, then we go, okay, is this going to be the norm going forward? Well, online blows up, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see things all over the place, headlines talking about GTA 6 is now going to cost $120 on launch. And
it probably will.
And the reality of games being priced around the amount of dev time and the amount of resources put into the game. Well, that is an interesting topic because, yes, games cost more than ever to make. But games are also making more money than ever. There's a reason why game costs didn't increase a lot with inflation. When inflation definitely happened, we know that that's a thing. And that is because in counteract of that inflation, games started making more money. They started selling more copies. So a $60 game that was worth less than a previous $60 game, cost more than a previous, no, cost less. My inflation brain was tired. That's worth less, is selling a lot more copies. So even though the $60 isn't worth as much, it is if you're making twice as many sets of $60, right? Yep. Because you're selling twice as many copies of the game. So the industry didn't really have to shift a whole lot. So then a lot of big industry heads come out and say, hey, $70 really should be the price for some of these larger AAA games because the price has gotten so high and markets aren't exactly as high as they probably need to be to counteract that. And people go, look, we're not really here for $70 games. But over time, we kind of adjusted, and there's definitely a good chance a lot of $70 games come out a few months later, they're already below that 60 mark, and now you're just kind of treating it as the game comes out a little later. Okay, fine. We can survive that. And that was after over a decade, significantly over a decade, of $60 main release games. Then it bumps to 70. Here we are, 2 years later, basically, from the acceptance of $70 games, and we're having this push. It's too soon. The industry doesn't need that market. Like the market didn't inflate that much in those 2 years. No. So if 70 is what you needed, 80 is not what you need because it hasn't been enough time to make 80 what you need. And then on top of all of that, we have record sales of certain indie games that are showing you can profit tenfold off of $40, $50, $55 games or even less, in today's world. So now we end up in a really weird place where we have sort of games coming out at significantly less than 80 and games coming out at 80. The most recent announcement, and this is, as far as I'm aware, there's only 2, of the next $80 game is now The Outer Worlds 2. Yep. Now, I haven't played The Outer Worlds. I have it. I hope to get to it. As you guys have seen on the channel, maybe. There's a backlog video. I'm planning on working through the backlog. We've been making a little bit of progress. And I'm sure the streams are going to help. But I know it's a great game. I also know that it's considered to be in that kind of AA, sub-AAA area level of value and quality, and kind of hits that expected $50-ish price tag, maybe 60 now. If you say, okay, they upped the quality a little bit. Nobody expected this game to cost $80. No. Nobody. Absolutely no one. Now, that is not to say that there are some games that, while I don't think are worth $80, I would understand Xbox pushing. In the exact same showcase, they showed off another game coming, hopefully in a year or two, that's called Clockwork Revolution. And the hype around that game, I would kind of understand if they went, hey, this looks good enough, this looks big enough, maybe we can push that $80 price tag. I still don't think it's worth it. Nope. But personally, I would understand it a little bit more because if GTA 6 came out asking for $80, a lot of people would maybe understand that price tag. I'm not sure it's going to be worth it, but would understand it. If they came out with a re-release of one of the old GTAs and priced that at $80, we would be like, what the hell are you doing, Rockstar? So
we'd be concerned.
We've only seen these 2 games now. However, the arguments are already popping up for The Outer Worlds 2 of saying, well, it's $80, but it's also available day one on Game Pass. Now, I think The Outer Worlds 2, there we go, will probably be worth having a Game Pass subscription and playing on day one. Game Pass is such a good value. It really is. However, there is a $50 option to own, sure it's digital, so but to have the license, the digital license, for Mario Kart World, as if you paid $80 on the eShop. There's no difference between my version of Mario Kart World and if I had bought another Nintendo Switch base model, gone to the eShop, and paid $80 for it digitally. There is no difference. 0. You will pay $15 for Xbox Game Pass, and you will get to experience and play the game, but you do not have the license for that game. There is no currently known way to get the game cheaper than the $80 retail. Yep. It is truly an $80 game. And I think this is where, as a and please chime in if I'm talking too much here, but I truly believe that this is where we as a games industry, and I say games industry is like the players of the industry, need to truly speak with our wallets, right? There are some ups and downs of the Nintendo Switch 2, and we'll continue making videos about that.
Absolutely.
And our hesitancy of how we supported them. But that console has sold in immaculate numbers, and the hardware itself for the price is not something that I feel bad about. I actually think they did a good job with that. However, if the games industry moving forward is proud to push $80 games rather than what we used to see in the past where one company makes a greedy decision, the other company chooses, let's profit off of that and go, we're not doing that. Look at all of our first party games priced at $60, you know, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, they did it, you know, like
literally,
and freaks out. Now we see Xbox stepping to $80 games. Are we going to see Sony stepping to $80 games? That's, you know, my biggest concern is that the industry takes this as a free pass to move forward.
Well, I can do
And
it.
I truly think that we as a gaming like community need to say, no, that's too much. Mario Kart World is pushing it because there's really no reason to buy that game for not its $50 price tag.
100%.
And if that limits how much you can play online or how much you can play with friends, so be it, because I'm not willing to pay $80 for the quality of that game.
Nope.
Outer Worlds 2 looks pretty good. I'm excited to play the first one and hopefully the sequel someday. I am not going to pay $80 for that game.
No, that is probably one of those games that we would rather wait 2-3 years, get it on a sale where it's $40,
and
$20.
I think we need to look back at the last many years of games and say, look, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, Astro's Playroom, though it's not a very long game, but, you know, quality
Still
in what it
quality.
is. Clair Obscur Expedition 33, these games, I haven't played all of them, but I know their quality. Red Dead Redemption 2, released at $60 or $70 or less. Clair Obscur's $50 game. And their quality, they're profiting, they're making good money, and they are loved by the community. And, you know, you can see in the future we're going to be getting this Mafia game that looks really good that I think is going to drop at $50 if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
So the industry is showing us it is possible. And I think that us as the gaming community need to move forward and support all of those parts of the gaming community that are choosing to go, this is ridiculous. Yeah. We might need to charge $60 for our game, but we don't need to charge $80 for our game. And I want to and hope to see the industry start to fight back against that.
Absolutely.
I really loved seeing Sony announce a sale on their consoles right after Xbox upped the price. I think that was a perfect way to go about it. And they got us. We went for the Pro that's sitting over there off camera because we were able to upgrade with trade-in for pretty cheap.
We were.
Instead of paying way more for a weaker Xbox, right?
Exactly.
So I think that I'm really disappointed in the gaming industry for continuing to push greed and continuing to push. You see these like CEOs and whatnot on social media saying things like, if you really want the game, you'll find a way. That is not the mentality that should be being pushed. If I really want to like stand behind the value of a game, I won't buy it, right? And as much as I'm excited to play something like The Outer Worlds and its sequel, it doesn't have me hooked enough to pay that high of a price tag.
No, and like I'll be honest, like Clockwork Revolution.
Yeah.
We watched the trailer of it together. He saw me. I was like mouth agape, like astounded by this game.
Fascinated.
If that game comes out at $8, I'm literally just not gonna play it.
We will not be buying it at $80. Now, we might buy it at a cheaper price point in the future.
I will wait years to play that game.
But what we need to do as the gaming community is use our voice, because these people need money, and say, look, this is too expensive. GTA 6 might look incredible, but so do some of these other games.
And at this point, with GTA 6, it's not coming out till next May. Because it got delayed. Another year.
We have another year.
Where'd he goes? Stupid.
They probably need it. They're pushing boundaries with that game.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But, you know, if $8 does become normalized because people aren't actually doing and pushing back against what these companies are doing, GTA 6 will probably release at $100+.
Yeah.
GTA 6 will not be an $8 game. It will be a $120 game.
I think that we need to...
It's going to be expensive.
We need to fear the mindset of game price based on work and cost of production, because that is an excuse to make the biggest companies, which, mind you, the reason they're the biggest companies is because they make so much money from the games they sell.
So many games.
And they make so many games. that we need to fear those games coming out at the price, right? You know, Rockstar puts out some stellar games. I'm not here to say Red Dead Redemption 2 is a bad game. I haven't played it, so I can't tell you, but I'm sure it's phenomenal. Maybe, even back in 2018, it would have been worth $70 if they really wanted to charge for that. But what we don't want to see is this continual, every couple years push by another 10 and another 10. Because a console already costing more than it ever has before, and one game costing more than it ever has before, with a second controller costing more than it ever has before, is really pushing the average consumer out of being able to experience these. And that's not what we want. We don't want, you know, exclusivity in diehard gamers who put all of their money into the hobby are the only people that get to experience it. That's not what we want.
No.
And the only way that we can stick up for those little guys that want to experience some games but don't want to save up for a month and a half just to play the game on release.
I mean, think about like the kids
Yeah.
that are. I mean, most of y'all who game have probably been gaming much like Nathaniel since you were a kid. Like you can remember saving up your little bit of allowance, a little bit of money your parents would give you for doing chores,
Yeah.
and waiting months and months and months just to get a game. Like if these games are coming out at $80
Or more.
or more, these kids who are being raised in the same way that a lot of us were, which is like where you get a little bit of allowance for doing your chores, and mom and dad aren't just buying you the brand new game whenever you want it. Like those, like if Nathaniel was little now, like he wouldn't be able to be getting these games.
Or even parents that want to buy their kids games or birthdays or Christmases. If
It's not feasible anymore.
if your budget is $200 for games,
That's over a third
back
of it.
in when I was growing up, there was a very good chance I might get 4+ games. And if we are headed into a future where you might be able to afford 2, it's just not very bright. And it's not something that any of us are going to benefit from. The only people benefiting from this are the higher ups in these companies and their wallets, right?
Yep.
These games are not going to be more quality than if they shipped at $60.
Yeah.
The money is not going into production.
They would make
And
more money
we
if
need
they
to-
just went ahead and sold it at a cheaper price.
We
We'd
need
buy
to
it.
remember that, right? Because we see quality, high production value games costing $50, $60, and I guarantee you we will see not nearly as high quality, pretty much slop games coming out at the $70 or $80 price tag because it's made by a big company that had a large production budget that they just didn't use well or
Nope.
that didn't produce something special. So that's kind of our 2 cents on the subject.
It is.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, but I think that if people are gonna, like, I mean, much like us, I mean, people have for a long time been, well, we gotta speak with our wallets, we gotta not buy these things. Then don't go out and buy the thing. If you're gonna say that, don't buy it.
Yeah. Which, you know,
Don't go back on it.
we kind of felt on the Switch and they kind of bought us over and we have our
But
opinions on
it's-
that, but I don't feel as bad as I would have.
No, because it's a new piece of hardware. The technology in the Switch is actually worth it.
Yep.
The $80 Mario Kart game isn't worth it. The
No.
$80 Pokemon game isn't gonna be worth it.
And they're going to continue to push it to 90 or 100 or 110 until
And
they find
they're just
the-
not getting better.
until they find the price point that we're not willing to pay anymore, and the game isn't going to improve when they charge $30 more dollars for it.
It's not.
The same GTA 6 is releasing whether we say we're paying 80 for it or whether we say we're paying 120 for it. And we need to be willing to say, hey, look, this game might be phenomenal, but nothing that I've ever played is really worth $80. And
Nope.
even if GTA 6 is so groundbreaking that it is not going to be worth 100 or 120.
No.
Where you have to stand behind the value of your money because these games aren't that good. I grew
they're
up
not.
gaming confident that it was a hobby where you could get pretty good bang for your buck in terms of how much entertainment you got out of the money you put into it, and it's been disappointing to see it fall out of that category.
Absolutely.
Gaming is expensive now, and if you really want to enjoy different games, you have to heavily budget for it. And I don't want to see that get harder.
No, I mean, it's already hard enough. I mean, there's so many games that we want to play, but, you know, we wait for them to go on sale.
Yeah.
I mean,
95% of the games we purchase are on sale now. And I mean steep
even-
sales.
Yeah.
Years old games.
I mean,
By the time we
there are
purchase
games
them.
that are like $20 that I'm like, nope, I'll wait for that to go on sale because I'm like, if there is a game that we ever want to play on release, it's not releasing it, you know, $20-$40. It's releasing it $60, $70, $80. So we have to on those even $20 games. We're like, okay, well, we're gonna wait for that to be on sale. Those $10 games, we're still waiting for it to be on
because-
sale because we want. If there is a game that comes out at $60, $70 that we want to play right away, We gotta have the money for that.
And I expect those AAA releases to be 60, maybe 70, but 80 is too much. Because if it released at 60 versus 80, that's your $20 game right there. If you bought that $20 game, now you don't have the 20 to go to 80, right? And it's just ridiculous because 99% of these games aren't worth that much.
Fair.
$60 is already a hefty price tag. 70 should really be restricted for the best of the best. And 80 is not something we should be hearing about for years to come.
Yep.
So stand up, take a stand, vote with your wallet a little bit, and certainly don't be pre-ordering or just throwing money at these things, showing these executives, hey, 80?
I'll buy it.
We'll pay it, no problem. You should be pushing 90. You should be pushing 100. We do not want to send that message.
Nope.
We do not. So skepticism is key. Show the gaming industry, hey, if you're going to say 80, we're going to look at your game in a whole nother lens. We're going to look at it from a whole nother perspective because Mario Kart World got pretty tough reviews from us, and a big part of that is it is not worth $80, right?
No.
And we truly said in our review, do not pick it up for $80. It wouldn't have that same perspective if it was $50 or $60. We would be a little lighter on it.
Exactly.
So, I love indie games, and part of the reason they feel so great is because you're paying
They're cheap.
$15 or $20 for them usually, and you're like, man, I had so much fun. It was really cute, and it didn't break the bank.
Exactly.
AAA games live in a special place because they cost more, but can give you very unique experiences. You're working through Horizon right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's been absolutely adoring it. That game probably worth the $50 to $60 you're paying for the remaster if you never bought it before. It's not an $80 game.
No, it's
and
not.
we love it. So, all right. Well, we went over our time frame for this, but you know what? We tend to do that. We're ramblers. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. We need to start saying this stuff at the beginning.
Probably.
But any users, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you join the Rollsicle family. If you liked it, you can leave a like down below. And we also just want to hear what your guys' opinions are on $80 games, the movement of the industry, how we can fight against it. Did Rollsicle fail by buying a Nintendo Switch 2? We want to hear from you guys. So let us know down in the comments below. We love each and every one of you. And I think that's the video.
I think it is.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, may those rolls be ever in your favor. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace
Peace out.
Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
y'all.